Enola Holmes is back, and she just solved her biggest case yet. The movie kicked off with Enola investigating the disappearance of a little girl, but as the drama unravels, we find out that Sarah's disappearance, treasury theft, and mysterious deaths at the match factory were all interconnected. But what if we told you you could have figured that out earlier? Keep watching to find out all the times Enola Holmes 2 dropped clues for the shocking ending. First up, May was always trying to protect Sarah. Enola Holmes 2 doesn't waste a lot of time before pushing the young detective into her biggest case yet. Bessie asks Enola to investigate her sister, Sarah Chapman's disappearance. Holmes obviously agrees, but she soon finds out that this isn't just any missing person case. As Enola starts asking questions, it becomes clear that Sarah's flatmate, May, isn't particularly fond of her involvement in the case. At one point, May even tells Enola to stop poking her nose around, clearly implying that she might be afraid of what the detective might discover. And we're pretty sure Enola picked up on it too. Now, that doesn't mean that she saw May as the villain or suspected her of any wrongdoing, but it was clear that she was hiding something. Well, when we actually find out what that was, her opposition to Enola's involvement kind of makes sense. You see, May and Sarah were planning to expose Lord McIntyre and Mr. Lyon's plan to switch to less expensive phosphorus, which made the factory workers ill. May always knew where Sarah was and that she needed to protect their research no matter what. Unfortunately, by the time Enola discovers this, it's already too late. But with hindsight, her and May's first interaction makes a lot more sense, and May's treatment of Enola seems pretty justified. She was just trying to keep her friend safe. Next up, Grail was actually looking for May. While it might have looked like Superintendent Grail was a step ahead of Enola when he started following her after Enola confronted May at the Paragon Theater, it's later revealed that this wasn't the case. You see, being Moriarty's lackey, it makes sense that Grail would be looking for Sarah and May in order to spoil their plan, since they could have prevented Moriarty from making money off the deal between Mr. Lyon and Lord McIntyre. He quickly realized, however, that he could use Enola's detective skills to find Sarah. While Grail may have found that to be very convenient, everything that happened was purely accidental because Moriarty was only aware of May, Sarah, and William's involvement, and not Enola's. Coming up, there was a reason Mina Troy kept popping up. Sherlock uncovered Moriarty's intentions after realizing that the money transfers made shapes on the map that could be used as a cipher to decode sentences. Enola, on the other hand, had overheard Mina Troy trying to persuade Lord McIntyre into connecting the theft with Sarah's disappearance when she was looking into what Sarah had taken from the match factory foreman's office. Later, when Mina encountered Enola at the ball, she pushed her toward William and prodded her to speak with him in the hopes that she would learn about May, Sarah, and William's plan. All of these indicators already pointed to Mina Troy as the perpetrator because she needed the paperwork proving Lyon and McIntyre's deal. Next, let's talk about Moriarty. The revelation that Mina Troy was actually Moriarty and the brains behind May and Williams's murder, as well as the extortion at McIntyre's expense, made everything clearer. But it was the final confrontation that really pieced everything together and connected Sherlock and Enola's cases. Enola had always suspected Grail of working for a powerful person, but she couldn't find out who that person was. William's murder scene suggested that it could be McIntyre, but that turned out to be a setup fabricated by Grail and his goons. And the killer still remains a mystery. Well, that is until Enola is reminded of what Mina said at the ball, which eventually leads to Troy outing herself as the mastermind behind it all. Now, with hindsight, the movie couldn't have made Cicely's importance any more obvious. Enola Holmes 2 cleverly introduced Miss Cicely as a crucial figure in the mystery. You see, in the beginning, the movie portrayed Cicely's interest in Tewkesbury's reforms as just another noblewoman taking an interest in him as a single, eligible man, or that's at least how Enola saw it. However, as the story unfolds, it becomes pretty clear why Cicely repeatedly mentioned her need to talk with Tewkesbury. You see, we later find out Cicely was the persona that Sarah had adopted in order to get around high society undetected. protected, and the reason why she wanted to meet Tewkesbury so badly was that she needed someone with political influence to be able to take down Lord McIntyre and Mr. Lyon. Coming up, things would have been easier to get if you just picked up a history book. Believe it or not, a large part of Enola Holmes' story is based on real-life British history. The detective drama seamlessly linked Sarah's disappearance with the appalling working conditions of the girls at the Lyon factory. Well, this really happened, or at least a less dramatized version of it. You see, while Bessie, May, and William might have been works of fiction, Sarah Chapman was actually a real person who lived in Victorian England and led the Match Girl strikes in 1888. Some of Enola Holmes 2's biggest twists would have been easy to predict for anyone who's familiar with London's first unskilled workers' strike. This strike led to better working conditions in Britain. Even though Sarah Chapman's true story and the Match Girls' strike had different outcomes, in reality, many of the workers' demands were similar to those of the Match Girls in Enola Holmes 2, particularly the one regarding the lethal phosphorus. Maybe history isn't all that boring after all. Now, did you notice a major character was missing from Enola Holmes 2? Enola Holmes 2 saw a bunch of familiar faces return, with Millie Bobby Brown reprising her role as the younger Holmes. Henry Cavill also returned as Sherlock, and Adil Akhtar came back as Lestrade, while Lewis Patridge reprised his role as Tewkesbury. But there was one star missing. Sam Claflin, who plays Mycroft, Sherlock, and Enola's somewhat snooty older brother, is nowhere to be seen or heard of throughout the entire movie. Let's try to figure out why that was. Next up, why wasn't Mycroft in the movie? If we look at this thing from an in-story perspective, compared to the first Enola Holmes movie, the sequel is much more tightly focused on two of Enola's relationships: her tense rivalry with her older brother Sherlock, and her cagey romance with Lord Tewkesbury. There simply was no place to fit Mycroft into. There were bigger fish to fry. Plus, the first film put a lot of focus on Enola's relationship with Mycroft, and some fans complained that Sherlock was treated like an afterthought. Maybe that's why the studio decided to give the detective duo more screen time together in this movie. Moving on, here's a real-life reason that could explain Sam's absence. The most likely explanation is that a scheduling conflict prevented the actor from appearing in the second movie. You see, Claflin was filming the upcoming series Daisy Jones and the Six during the time that Enola Holmes 2 was being shot, so it may not have been possible for him to juggle both projects. Claflin had previously stated that he would love to return for the movie's sequel, but clarified that it wasn't in his hands. So maybe the studio just didn't reach out. But that shouldn't be a cause of concern for all you Mycroft fans, if there are any, since there might still be hope for Sam to reprise his role in the film's third installment, especially given the fact that the actor has shown interest in making a return. Finally, could Mycroft return in the third part? By the end of the film, Enola and Sherlock have a much closer bond, but that doesn't mean things aren't perfect in her family. She still needs to work on her relationship with Mycroft, who is likely to still be annoyed by the fact that she hasn't started integrating herself into society. It's worth noting that Enola is no longer trying to hide the fact that she is in London. In fact, her name is posted on the window of the space she rents for her detective agency, so it won't come as a surprise if Mycroft is aware of her location and disapprovingly watching her from a distance. In a caring way, of course. This could set up a major plot for Enola Holmes 3 as Enola grapples with other historical British events like the Great Reform Bill or the Match Girls strike, events that would pique Mycroft's interest as a key figure in the British government. Also, the movie ends with Enola committing to working in social circles that neither Sherlock nor Mycroft frequent, so she can be a useful asset for her older brother if he finds himself dealing with issues affecting the lower classes. That's a wrap for this video. Have you watched Enola Holmes 2? What did you think of the twist ending? And do you think Mycroft will return? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one!